it's going to be different. There's not a traditional red, white spring game. We will have media access and some of the things like normal, but we're transitioning to this 105-man roster era. There are 16 transfer portal players that have joined the team on campus. That is the most ever in a spring that have joined the team, on top of, I believe, 13 of the 20 or 12 of the 20 high school recruits. So there's a lot of new blood, a lot of new angles, new coordinators, new assistant coach hires to really kind of dive into this spring.
Mm-hmm. And some returners that are very good storylines. I mean, I always talk about Heinrich Haarberg as a very compelling storyline.
For sure.
Where I believe this is the start of his ascension to stardom as a tight end. There's the Dylan Raiola.
Yeah.
The Dylan Raiola kind of now established. Now he's really established as a leader. Rookie quarterback, he was a leader, but it's now much more established. He's the starter. And then, of course, you always have the offensive line discussion. And others. There's a ton, Robin. Yeah. There's a ton. I didn't even mention the receiver position.
Yeah, there are a ton. You could go on for a long time of interesting storylines here, but for me, it starts with Dylan Raiola. I mean, the fact that he is going into year 2, he's going to have, like you said, the title of this being his team. He is the face of the program, the leader, of Nebraska football this season. And now he's going to have an entire offseason working with Dana Holgorsen, as opposed to a couple weeks, basically having to hit the ground running late last year. This is going to, I think, be a much more intriguing developmental part of just where that Holgorsen Raiola combination, how that can grow over the offseason and how far they can take this offense and what types of different things can you do with more comfort and familiarity, both between player and coach and vice versa.
I just thought of this. This will be the first spring that we've had. We had 3 straight springs where the quarterback position wasn't established. Last year wasn't established. The year before was not established.
What was it the year before?
Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
And then you had Chubba Purdy, you had Casey Thompson, and Logan Smothers all on campus. You had 4 quarterbacks on campus at that point that had started Division I games.
By the end of the spring, Sims was established.
Yeah, they didn't even, I mean, it was just Sims. It was like you didn't even, but it was weird. It felt forced in Matt Rule's first spring.
It did.
And then the year before that, Casey Thompson came.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And Adrian Martinez had transferred. And I still don't even know if Frost wanted to part ways with Adrian Martinez. I think he felt like he had to just to change things up, because Adrian was a better quarterback than what they traded for.
I don't disagree. Keep the discussion on the
currency, but yeah, this the establishment of having a quarterback. We haven't seen that at Nebraska since the 21 season.
Right, and then the question too is that there's kind of a battle for top backup, right? Which is always somewhat compelling. Robin, I've substituted the word compelling for interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
I've already used interesting, so I've cashed out on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you've cashed out. So what Sean is sort of the agent for Jalen Gramstad.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean will go with Gramstad as a top backup. Marcus Davila is in that conversation, redshirt freshman transfer from Purdue. And then there's TJ Lateef. I would, one of those guys would emerge, right?
I would probably lean towards Gramstad as well, just because of his experience.
Sean's influence.
And, well, I mean, you think about it.
6-year senior.
He's the only one that's been here. I mean, Luke Longvall has, but, I guess he's the one guy that probably understands the offense as much, maybe even more
and
so than Dylan does.
Does Longville survive the 105 roster purge?
Yeah. So,
I mean, there's some of that, too.
I think he's kind of the obvious choice right now. And then maybe one of those young guys like Davila or Lateef pass him up, but we just don't know where they stand right now. So he's the one known commodity in that room that makes him, I think, the obvious number 2. But we'll see how that develops over the offseason.
Should we skip down to running back?
Well, we're going to do an offensive segment. So don't just go through my whole second segment in segment 1. We're talking big picture.
Big picture.
As Andy Kendi likes to say on Channel 7, big picture.
Okay.
We're not delving into specific offense yet. We'll do that next
We
segment.
can talk about Jamarian Parker next segment.
I mean, the coordinator perspective, we got 3 new coordinators.
Yeah.
7 new assistant coaches, an entire brand new scouting and personnel department approach, a brand new general manager.
God.
You hate to use the words, but it feels like a what?
A reset. I don't, Robin, can Matt Rule utter that word at a podium? guys, this is a reset.
Well, when you think about since the day he arrived, it's all been about year 3. This is when we make the jump.
Doesn't
And
make
now we're
sense.
going into year 3 with a massive reset, at least on the coaching staff front and from a roster standpoint too. They're losing a lot, especially on the defensive side of the ball, defensive line. So, I mean, like, you don't want to say that because that's discouraging. That, kind of lowers expectations and sets you up for
Right.
a subpar year when this is supposed to be the year where it really takes off and Nebraska gets it back into being a legitimate Big Ten contender. But right now, with so much newness, with so much turnover, both from the staff and the roster, it's hard not to think that way.
Right. I wrote a column about it. And I think I just went over people's heads. I just don't think you can think in terms of reset.
Mm-mm.
You laid it out really well, Rob. I mean, Rule always talks about year 3 at Temple, year 3 at Baylor. Those were the years.
Oh, yeah.
But what he's done is it's like a reset.
How about a year 3 upgrade?
Yeah, maybe reset's not the right word. Maybe it's
Upgrade.
Okay.
a revamp.
And he's got a boss here. Let's call this
That's
what
too
it
close
is.
to reset.
He's got a boss.
Upgrade. I'll take upgrade.
He's got a boss now that is not going to pinch pennies. And Troy Dannon has said on record, I will give you what you need to win. And the salaries for the assistant coaches, first of all, there's 13 now instead of 10. The salary pool, not counting the strength coach, is $8.75 million. Matt Rule's original contract was for $7 million for assistant pool. So they've been a lot more aggressive. And I think Dannon is, or where Albert's, for whatever reason, like kind of was operating the budget like it was 1987. And
He was very thrifty.
He was a good steward.
steward of good
He
faith.
said that all the time. He Alberts brought the word steward in vogue here. He said steward all the time.
I never used it until he got here.
Now it was intriguing with Trev. He was very adamant about win-loss record, but he kind of wanted to do it on the
And he was the only coach that would, or AD I've ever seen that cut down guys guaranteed deals. Like, I mean, that doesn't happen anywhere.
to Frost and Fred.
Like where you publicly like cut your 2 franchise coaches down like that.
He did.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't know, Robin. How'd Fred feel about it?
Not great, but at the same time, when they made those moves, neither of those coaches had much leverage.
No.
And so it was either, well, do you want to stick around and take a pay cut, or you want to try somewhere else? And so I think that was probably more the situations of both those. But yeah, I mean, we put so much emphasis on win-loss and being competitive, but you try to do it on a budget. That's hard, especially now. Like, you can't operate on a budget anymore. It is about who spends the most is going to compete.
It is, but within reason, right?
Sometimes.
Within
I guess.
reason.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Ohio State had the most expensive rosters
In Oregon.
in Oregon, and look where they were. So I'm saying, like, money talks more than ever.